Hi everyone, I'm back with another Storytime with Soul. In response to overwhelming demand, I've seamlessly melded chapters 1 through 5, this time crafting an extended and deeply immersive relaxation journey. Before we delve into the intricacies of this mesmerizing narrative, take a moment to release the tensions of the day. Find solace in the soothing embrace of your surroundings, as the cares of the material world gently slip away. Imagine a realm where algorithms hum in harmonious symphony, where pixels dance like fireflies, and where the gentle ebb and flow of data creates a sense of serenity. In this haven of tranquility, allow your mind to unfurl like a digital lotus, ready to absorb the story that unfolds. With each word, let your thoughts drift into a state of relaxation as we embark on a tale that will enthrall your senses and whisk you away to a realm where possibilities are as limitless as lines of code. So settle into the digital embrace of this story, and let the currents of imagination carry you into the first chapter of my Cryptomon AI story. Chapter 1. Kogia is a land filled with magic and wonder, where the forests are lush and the mountains tower high. The Cryptomon that inhabit the land are unlike any creatures found on Earth, with strange powers and abilities that Soul has never seen before. Soul wakes up in a small village on the edge of a forest, disoriented and confused. He has no memory of how he got to Kogia or why he is here. As he wanders through the village, he encounters Pinchman the Bard, who greets him warmly and offers to help him. Pinchman is a kind and wise old man, with a gentle voice and a twinkle in his eye. He tells Soul about the land of Kogia and the many adventures that await him. He also tells Soul about the Cryptomon and how they can be trained and battled. Soul is intrigued by the idea of becoming a Cryptomon trainer, and Pinchman offers to show him the ropes. Together, they journey deep into the forest, where they encounter all manner of strange and wonderful creatures. Soul is amazed by the power and beauty of the Cryptomon, and he begins to feel a sense of purpose and belonging that he has never felt before. As they make their way back to the village, Pinchman tells Soul about the challenges that lie ahead. There are other Cryptomon trainers in Kogia, some of whom are not as friendly as Pinchman. Soul will need to learn how to battle effectively, and he will need to choose his Cryptomon carefully. But for now, Soul is content to bask in the warmth of the sun and the beauty of the forest. He knows that he has found something special in Kogia, something that he never wants to let go of. Chapter 2. Soul and Pinchman lay on the grass, basking in the warm sun after a long day of training. They were interrupted by the sound of rustling bushes and turned to see two young boys approaching. "Hello there," said the first boy, with a wide smile on his face. "My name is Jimmy, and this is my friend Vito." Soul and Pinchman returned the greeting, curious about the boys' sudden appearance. Jimmy and Vito looked like young kids, but there was something ancient and wise about their eyes. "We couldn't help but notice you two training with those Cryptomon," said Vito, his voice deep and serious. "We've come a long way to investigate some strange happenings on this planet, and we were wondering if you might be able to help us." Soul and Pinchman exchanged a look, sensing that there was more to these boys than met the eye. Jimmy and Vito explained that they were from another planet, where they solved mysteries and fought evil forces that threatened the universe. They had heard whispers in the village about a strange man who had appeared out of nowhere, and they believed that he might hold the key to solving the mystery of the darkness that was creeping over Kogia. Soul was surprised by their interest in him, and he sensed that there was something important at play. He agreed to help them in any way he could, and together they set out to investigate the strange darkness that had been troubling the land. As they journeyed deeper into the forest, they encountered strange and unsettling things. Trees that had withered and died, animals that had been corrupted by a dark energy, and whispers that seemed to come from the very shadows themselves. The boys were somber and focused, determined to uncover the truth behind the darkness that was threatening to consume Kogia. Soul and Pinchman could sense the gravity of the situation, and they followed the boys with a growing sense of urgency. Chapter 3. Soul, Pinchman, Jimmy, and Vito walked cautiously through the forest, their senses on high alert. They knew that the darkness that had been creeping over Kogia was growing stronger, and they encountered more and more corrupted Cryptomon along their journey. Suddenly, they heard a low growl coming from a nearby clearing. They cautiously approached and saw a massive creature standing in their path. Its eyes glowed with a sinister energy, and its body was shrouded in a dark aura. "This is a dark Cryptomon?" said Pinchman, his voice filled with concern. "It's an incredibly powerful creature that feeds on the negative energy of the land. We must battle it, or it will continue to spread its influence throughout Kogia." Soul nodded, feeling the weight of the task before him. He reached for his Cryptomon, Leafless, a grass type that he had trained tirelessly in the days since his arrival in Kogia. Pinchman summoned Granite, a strong ground type that he had been using for years. Jimmy and Vito called upon their water-type Cryptomon, Magi and Carp. Together, they charged forward to battle the Dark Cryptomon. The fight was fierce and intense, with each side giving and taking blows. But ultimately, they were no match for the Dark Cryptomon's power. It was too strong, and they were forced to retreat. "We need to learn more about these Dark Cryptomon," said Jimmy, his voice heavy with concern. "We need to figure out their weaknesses if we hope to defeat them." The group was set out on a new journey, determined to meet the top trainers in Kogia and learn everything they could about the Dark Cryptomon. Their first stop was the Water Trainer, a wise old man who had spent his life studying the Cryptomon of the sea. Chapter 4. Soul and Pinchman stood at the edge of the Uni Trench, the vast expanse of water stretching out before them. They knew that the wise old man Toa, the Water Trainer, lived at the bottom of the trench, and they had to find him if they hoped to learn more about the Dark Cryptomon. "Are you sure we can trust Jimmy and Vito to handle things on their own?" asked Soul, his voice filled with concern. "They tend to get into trouble." Pinchman chuckled. "I'm sure they'll be fine. Besides, we have our own task to focus on. Let's go find Toa." With that, they took a deep breath and plunged into the water. The pressure was intense, and they had to use an air Cryptomon to create a bubble of air around them so they could breathe. They swam deeper and deeper, the darkness around them growing more and more oppressive. Finally, they saw a light in the distance. It was Toa's home, a small cottage nestled among the coral. They swam towards it, and Toa emerged to greet them. "Greetings, travelers," he said, his voice deep and wise. "What brings you to the bottom of the Uni Trench?" "We're here to learn more about the Dark Cryptomon," said Pinchman, his voice firm. "We've encountered them on our journey, and we need to know how to defeat them." Toa nodded slowly. "I see. The Dark Cryptomon are a powerful and dangerous foe. To defeat them, you must first master the basics. It's like wax on, wax off." Soul and Pinchman exchanged confused looks. "What do you mean?" asked Soul. Toa smiled enigmatically. "You will understand in time. For now, you must continue your journey. Seek out the other top trainers of Kogia and learn from them. Together, you may be able to defeat the Dark Cryptomon and save our land." With that, he bid them farewell, and they swam back to the surface, determined to continue their quest. Meanwhile, Jimmy and Vito were off on their own adventure, trying to catch a slippery fish with nothing but their bare hands. It was a comical sight, but they didn't care. They were having fun, and they knew that Soul and Pinchman were capable of handling things on their own. Chapter 5. Soul and Pinchman looked at each other with bewilderment as Toa's advice echoed in their heads. Wax on, wax off. What does that even mean? Soul muttered, scratching his head in confusion. Benjamin shrugged, equally perplexed. I have no idea. Maybe we should go back to the village and ask someone else. They made their way back to the small village, hoping to find someone who could make sense of Toa's enigmatic trading methods. As they wandered through the winding streets, they suddenly heard a loud commotion coming from a nearby alleyway. Curious, they approached cautiously and saw two figures, Jimmy and Vito, gathered around a strange contraption. As they got closer, they realized it was a Kamon Slurpee machine. Jimmy and Vito were completely engrossed in the machine, trying to figure out how to operate it. As they watched, a tall gentleman with a deep voice approached them. Ah, I see you're interested in the Kamon Slurpee machine, he boomed, his voice echoing off the alley walls. Soul and Pinchman stepped forward, introducing themselves. The man introduced himself as Sir Diggity and explained the workings of the machine in great detail, patiently answering every question Jimmy and Vito had. As they listened, Soul and Pinchman realized that Sir Diggity's method of explanation was similar to Toa's. Maybe this is the kind of training Toa was talking about, Pinchman whispered to Soul. Soul nodded in agreement, feeling relieved that they were finally starting to understand Toa's teachings. As Sir Diggity continued his explanation, Soul and Pinchman exchanged excited glances, feeling a newfound sense of clarity and purpose. After the demonstration, Pinchman asked Jimmy and Vito if they had found any clues on how to defeat the Dark Cryptomon. However, their answers were more confusing than helpful. Speaking in riddles about a slippery fish and a large dragon they had to slay, which led them to seeking out the air trainer in Aura Canyon. Undeterred, Soul, Pinchman, Jimmy, and Vito set out on their next adventure to find the air trainer. As they were leaving, Sir Diggity joined them, revealing himself to be a Cryptomon trainer who had mad cooking skills. The group was glad to have him come along. To be continued. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed these chapters of my AI story. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.